Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sarvapyete yajna vido yajna kshapita kalmashaha yajna shishta amrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam. Translation. All these performers who know the meaning of yajna, sacrifice, become cleansed of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of results of sacrifices, they advance towards the supreme eternal atmosphere. Hare Krishna. So, we continue our discussion on chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. The acronym is PAST, P-A-S-T. P for position of Krishna. What is transcendental knowledge? To know God, to know ourselves, to know our relationship with each other, and to especially know about spiritual world, our original home. This is transcendental knowledge, position of Krishna. Then A for application, how to apply this transcendental knowledge in our day-to-day activities. So that is through following sadhana in Krishna consciousness and dutiful detached work in varnashram. So sadhana and varnashrama, both we need to cultivate. Sadhana means chanting Hare Krishna every day, having a grand start to the day with a spiritual input, study of scriptures, singing some prayers, worshipping the deity, and in this way making sure that well begun is half done. All is well that begins well. So this is the sadhana part. And then there is the varnashrama part, being dutiful and detached and devotional in our varna, occupation, ashrama, family, whatever cultivation. So this is applying transcendental knowledge to day-to-day activities. Then S for sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. So yajna of various types, they lead to we getting transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is not bookish. Divya jnana hridaya prakashita. It becomes revealed in the heart of a person who performs sacrifices that are recommended in the scriptures. So we studied the concept of sacrifice. Sacrifice involves the hota, the person who makes the sacrifice, the agni, the heat of the matter, the contribution that he makes in the form of physical labor, mental labor, intellectual labor, whatever. But everything done for the sake of pleasing the Supreme. So that is Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. So that was sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. So last time we covered all of it in fast forward mode. Dravyamaya yajna, karmamaya yajna. Dravyamaya means you offer matter in charity. Food, clothing, shelter, money. Dravyamaya yajna. Then karmamaya yajna, which means you offer your skills or action. You go and volunteer for some seva. Then jnanamaya yajna, cultivation of swadhyaya, studying scriptures, teaching it to others. And then there is yoga yajna, cultivation of this asana, pranayam, and very complicated techniques, suspending breathing altogether, still surviving in the body. I think we are not meant for it. We need ventilators. When we can't breathe, we need to survive supplied externally. And then finally, there is going to be the culmination of all these sacrifices, which is soon to arrive in verse 34. Don't look. And we there are going to talk about the topmost of all yajnas that you can ever perform. Although it looks very simple, it is not that easy because it involves offering our ego, subordinating our ego. And this is why there is a hierarchy of these sacrifices: Dravyamaya, Karmamaya, Jnanamaya, Yoga Yajna, and ultimately the sacrifice of our ahankara. So how to do that will soon arrive on our plate. So this is what we studied till now, and we are about to conclude sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge in verses 30 to 34, which we will do today. And in the next class we talk about the glories of transcendental knowledge. What will we get if we receive transcendental knowledge? So once again, please repeat text 30. Sarve pete yajna vido yajna kshapita kalmashaha yajna shishtamrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam. So ultimately, Krishna is concluding now the series of yajna by saying, what is the purpose of all these yajnas? So yajna has a primary result, yanti brahma sanatanam. One attains spiritual nature. Sanatana means no beginning, no end, eternal. Brahma means spiritual. So there is material nature, and beyond this there is a spiritual nature. So we attain that eternal spiritual status. Yanti Brahma Sanatanam. That's the ultimate result, the primary result of yajna. But there is a secondary result of yajna, that is called yajna shishta amrita bhujaha and yajna kshapita kalmashaha. Two things will happen in your life. Secondary results are all the dirt in our consciousness will be cleansed. Yajna kshapita kalmashaha. Kalmash means dirt in the heart. Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion. So that is kalmash. Kshapita, गहरे से गहरे दागों को खींच कर धो निकाले. Whatever. That's kshapana. Kshapana kriya means to extract, dislodge the dirt of the consciousness. So our consciousness, while interacting in this world, comes across so many impressions, samskaras. Some good, some bad. Every person we interact with, every object we handle, every site or a billboard that we look at, every magazine we read, we are putting in a lot of samskaras, and mind becomes dirty sometimes. All the time, because modern time it is made sure like that. So yajna kshapita kalmashaha, by practice of yajna, one can cleanse all this dirt of the consciousness. Just like after coming from a sweaty, smelly afternoon, some hard work, when you take a thorough bath, how you feel? Cleansed body. Like that, multiply that by 10,000 times. You feel when your consciousness is cleansed of all the impurities by practicing yajna. So that is yajna kshapita kalmashaha. First secondary result of yajna. The second secondary result is yajna shishta amrita bhujaha. One tastes nectar at every step in one's life. Every small activity that you perform, you find it nectarian. Amrita bhujaha. Bhuja means to enjoy. Amrita means nectar. So, I was giving the example that if you chant Hare Krishna, your mind has become cleansed and you have started seeing this whole material creation as a paraphernalia meant to serve the Lord, and every moment as an opportunity to give and receive pure love in every interaction. This is how you will start seeing the world around. Then every moment you taste nectar in your life. When you come to the temple and you are removing your shoes, you taste nectar. When the security guard checks you up, you taste nectar. When you come and take the darshan in the temple, you taste nectar. You sit and chant Hare Krishna, come attend a class. Every word that Krishna speaks tastes nectar. And then you have prasadam, tastes nectar. Then you go home, you are about to retire to your bed thinking of Krishna, reading some Krishna book, tastes nectar. Everything. And what to speak of doing your, cooking or washing pots, you taste nectar. Because now everything is, the baseline is love. Love of God. Earlier it was selfish, egoistic agendas, and now it has turned into love. And this is why one tastes nectar at every step. So purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the main common aim of all yajnas, fourth line in the purport, is to control the senses. So, why we have joined Krishna consciousness? First to become a Goswami and then to become a pure devotee of God. Goswami means controller of the senses. Go means senses. Those who go for enjoyment. Go. Just like cow likes to graze, senses like to browse. So, we have to become Goswami, master of our senses, not servant of our senses. That is called Godas. Sometimes people have a surname Goswami, but they can't even give up smoking a cigarette. Prabhupada says, Naam ka to Goswami hai, lekin bidi ka das. You can't leave it. So that is not Goswami. So this is the first purpose. We are cultivating this, and sometimes there may be some struggle in this to develop this self-mastery. But once the senses come under the control of the higher self, the Atma, then one starts tasting the real nectar of life by employing those senses in powerful activities, meaningful activities. So that is the first level. And going beyond this, we have to become a pure devotee of Krishna. How do you become a devotee of God? Very simple. Rushikena, Rushikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. We have to engage our senses in the service of the master of the senses. Who has given us senses? God. We may say this is my hand, but if I get a paralytic attack, can I do anything? I may say this is my eyes, or this is my whatever, tongue. But we know these senses are not under our control. At any point of time, the potency of those senses to act can be withdrawn, and we cannot do anything. So we may say, I am the master of my senses, but the control is not within. So Rushika means senses. Rushikesha means master of senses. Rushikena, Rushikesha Sevanam. To serve the master of the senses with your senses is called bhakti. Just like if you join a company, the company gives you a computer, a laptop, or they give you a car, and you become some MD or a CEO, they give you so many, bungalow to stay or so many facilities. What is the purpose of all that? That you stay happy, comfortable, make yourself fit and sharp to execute the service to the company. Isn't it? So we have this Brahmanda.com, Krishna's company, that we all are part of, universal company. And Krishna has given us abundance of everything. But imagine somebody who is working in the company, he goes and steals the stationery and brings home, extra to use for his kids. Or he, uses the car for going some other places than what the company has ordained him to go, putting petrol in the name of company. Then gradually what will happen? Over a period of time, the company gets to know, they will withdraw all those facilities. Right? Or they may kick him out from the job. Similarly, in this Brahmanda, when we are staying, instead of using God-given faculties in service of God's purpose, God's mission in this world, if we employ them in personal aggrandizement, then what happens? First, the supply reduces, and we wonder what is happening. अच्छे लोगों के साथ बुरा क्यों होता है? People have that question. Like recently, this 500 and 1,000 rupee note issue happened. Everybody, there are mixed reactions we are hearing from all quarters of the world. Those who are pious and taxpayers and who really care for the government, that government should get its due share of quota, and then we should enjoy ourselves. They are carefree, they are happy, they are in fact saying, "Joy, he did the right thing," all that. And there are people who have been doing a lot of golmaal, in the background. And now that whole golmaal has to be just. I heard there was a joke, I think somebody circulated on WhatsApp, that there is a smog all over Pune city. And they say, what is this coming up now? And they said, well, that's the politicians' money being burnt now in the godowns where they had stocked it, because that is of no value anymore. So much smog in the city. Anyways, so you see this. Similarly, at the time of death, all our assets, talents will suddenly become zero. They have no more value for you. And what will continue is the spiritual value that you really have earned throughout your life, and the loyal citizenship that you have lived with in relationship to the supreme governance of Krishna. That's all will go with you. Dharma will go with you. Nothing else of this world will go with you. Whatever dharma you followed, so that papa and punya and bhakti, all three, we continue. But nothing else we can continue with us. Suddenly it will all become null and void. And therefore, the common aim of all yajnas is to first control the senses. Now this idea of controlling the senses is a very, is the most hated idea in this world. What nonsense, control senses. क्या होता है? Control नहीं करा तो. So we all know क्या होता है. If you do drink, you get liver problem. You smoke, you get lung problem. You have illicit sex, you get AIDS. Even material nature is slapping and telling the guy, don't do it. And this fellow says, maybe, we will do it in a different manner. We'll have filtered tobacco, or we will have, some technologically advanced formula. Nothing is going to change. Misery will come when we partake in enjoyments that are not sanctioned by God. And in this way, we should not be anti-sense control. We should think sense control ki jaye. This is real heroism in life. So that's first part, becoming a Goswami. A little later, in the same paragraph, sense gratification is the root cause of material existence. Therefore, unless and until one is situated on the platform, apart from sense gratification, there is no chance of being elevated to the eternal platform of full knowledge. So that's a very, very important line. How you cannot be elevated to eternal platform of full knowledge? If you maintain irregulated life of wanton sense enjoyment. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparaha sanyatendriyaha. That shloka will come. Who gets knowledge? Shraddhavan. First you have to have faith in the Guru, in the scripture. Just like when you go and join some engineering or something, we have faith in the books that they give, Modi and Khurana and Bafna and I don't know, all these engineering books that people have. And then we have trust in the educators who teach us. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Tatparaha. One who is tatpar. Tatpar means so dedicated to gaining knowledge, anywhere it is available, from anyone who is, wherever it is available, and the cost at which it is available, I'll pay for it. That's called tatpar. Tatparaha. And sanyata indriyaha, controlled in senses. So our body is like a pot that has got 9 holes. No? Mitti ka ghada hai, there are 9 holes, and we are pouring transcendental knowledge. And if we allow sense gratification, which is irregulated, what happens? All that we have poured flows out, through the senses. You go again empty. And at the end of the class, we wonder what happened. I gained so much knowledge, but nothing much has changed in life. So, sanyata indriya. So, you regulate your senses, then you retain what you learn in the system. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparaha sanyatendriya jnanam labdhva param shanti machirena adhigacchati. One can attain eternal peace having attained transcendental knowledge. Okay. So, what is the primary result of getting transcendental knowledge? Attaining spiritual nature, eternal, permanent situation. One time Srila Prabhupada was going in America and they got into some traffic jam because of road construction. And there was a party that announced temporary inconvenience for permanent solution. And Prabhupada looked at that, he laughed and slapped on his thighs and he says, permanent inconvenience and temporary solutions. This is the 4-line description of material world. In short, permanent inconvenience and temporary solutions. So, we want to quit from this kuntha and attain Vaikuntha. That doesn't mean that we hate this place. We utilize this place. We make the best use of the bad bargain. So that's the point. Yanti Brahma Sanatanam. Text 31. Nayam lokostya yajnasya kutonya kuru sattama. Translation. This is the line I'm reading. Existence in the material world is due to the multiple reactions to our sinful lives. So we drag on, taking birth again and again. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in material existence. So avidya leads to papa, papa leads to punarjanma. Clear? So why should we gain transcendental knowledge? To destroy that avidya. That will stop permanently our tendency to act in sinful ways, and thus the repetition of cycle of birth and death, samsara. Now the next line is very interesting. The human form of life is the only loophole by which one may get out of this entanglement. There was once a person and he was blind and he was caught in a dark prison-like environment, and once in a year the door of that prison, it was a huge basement kind of a structure where you could be lying anywhere you like, but once in a year the door would open and a chance would be given to get out. So this person rotted for 1 full year without proper food or facility, and then he knew that he was blind, so he has to figure out by going through the walls where is the. So he was going like that almost every year, he would figure out, but he didn't know where the door is. So one fine day the door opened and he had come almost to the door, about to touch that hole from which he can get out, but somehow there was some itching in his back, and he continued walking, and he just itched for a while, and then again started and he missed the chance. Similarly, in this material world, which is like a prison, the jiva is trying to get out into the supreme free atmosphere of the spiritual sky. And every time in the human form of life, one is given that chance that now you get out from this material world. But somehow in human form of life, if you get into sense gratification business, itching, you forget. You lose that very chance for which you are being put into that species. And you again continue your term into the cycle of birth and death in 8.4 million species of life. So that is why transcendental knowledge is crucial. It is vital, life sustaining. Okay. A little later, and the last 3 lines of the purport. A life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all the problems of material existence. That's an interesting, bold statement to make. Somebody may say, I have got stomach upset. I have got, my boss who is so horrible, and I have got this economy that I have to deal with, and I have got so many things. There are material problems. I am seeking solutions. And you are telling, instead of solving my problems materially, the solution is in spirituality. What kind of logic is this? So the answer is very simple. Material life is like horizontal, what you call, merry-go-round. Unless you get off that merry-go-round and get some vertical elevation in your life, you can never actually come out of those situations. So spirituality is the way that offers us the bypass into realms of existence that are beyond this current state of frustrating existences. But if you don't take to it, remaining in the same stature, we may go round and round, sorting 100 things. We will go nowhere in our life. It is something like that person who runs on the treadmill, maybe increasing and decreasing speed once in a while, but he's going nowhere. You have to get off that illusory platform and be on real ground, to go somewhere with your efforts. And that the real ground for the spirit soul is spiritual culture. So, a life of Krishna consciousness is therefore is the solution to all the problems of material existence. Now Krishna is in the conclusion mode before giving the ultimatum. Evam bahuvidha yajna vitata brahmano mukhe karmajan vidhitan sarvan evam jnatva vimokshase. Translation.
All these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated.
So what do you mean Brahmano Mukhe Vitata? They are distributed. Evam means so far whatever I have described. These varieties of yajnas. Bahuvidha. There are of many kinds of yajnas that we talked about. Bahuvidha yajna. Vitata, they were distributed. Brahmano Mukhe, from the mouth of Lord Brahma. Or in other words, also from the mouth of Brahmanas, who teach the Vedas to the mankind. So all these yajnas are taught in the human society through the spiritual teachers. And what are they? Karmajan vidhi tan sarvan. Karmaja means born out of actions of body, mind and speech. That is called karmaja. So we perform actions through our mind, through our senses and through our speech. Karmajan vidhi tan sarvan evam jnatva vimokshase. Knowing all these varieties of sacrifices, you will become liberated. Different types of sacrifice, as discussed above, in the Vedas are there to suit different types of worker. Different strokes for different folks. So there are people who need, that Dravyamaya Yajna. And there are people who need Yoga Yajna, people who need Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. They have different inclinations. So there are various types of yajnas. Because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept, these sacrifices are so arranged that one can work either with the body or with the mind or with the intelligence, but eventually will lead to liberation. Evam jnatva vimokshase. And Prabhupada gives the Vitata Brahmano Mukhe. Brahma here is Supreme Lord Himself. This is confirmed by the Lord here from His own mouth. Okay, this is what will happen to you if you practice yajna. Text 33. The hierarchy of these yajnas. Shreyan Dravyamayat Yajnat Jnana Yajna Parantapa Sarvam Karma Khilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate. Translation.
Which aspects transcendental knowledge?
So, Shreyat means better than. Dravyamayat Yajnat Jnana Yajnaha. So, better than Dravyamaya Yajna is Jnana Yajna. And this Jnana Yajna, which ultimately leads to practice of Krishna consciousness. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. He will surrender to Krishna. So, this is the hierarchy. So, all that, whatever we are doing in this world, Dunyadari Magajmari, we are supposed to come to this conclusion of transcendental knowledge. Who am I? Who is the Supreme? What is my relationship with Him? If whatever work we are doing is not leading to this developmental understanding, it is all useless waste of time. Parabhavastavad jato yavat na jidnyasatam atma tattvam. If we have not done jidnyasa about atma tattva, whatever study we did, whatever actions we performed throughout our life, parabhavaha, it's all ultimately a defeat. It's a self-defeating thing we are doing. And therefore, we should be very cautious that every moment of our life is embellished with a desire to get transcendental knowledge. Even in little interactions that we have with people around, even little activities that we perform, that is called being appropriate in every moment of life. We should strive to be like that. So sometimes we mess it up. We should come back and say, sorry, I didn't do it right. Give you a chance. But try and act on the basis of transcendental knowledge. Jnane parisamapyate. And now comes the king verse of this chapter. This verse, if you understand, you don't need to practice all these varieties of sacrifices. So, sunar ki, ek lohar ki. Huh? This one will take care of everything else in life. So, how to acquire knowledge? That section is about to begin, about to conclude. But Krishna gives the last one. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Translation.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
So this verse in essence talks about how to prepare one's heart for the Guru to sow the seeds of transcendental knowledge and for them to fructify. Making heart fertile. So this verse essentially talks about 4 qualities a disciple must have. Can you tell me any qualities that you know that a Shishya must have when he approaches Guru? You're all well versed with this topic by now. Okay, faith.
A pure heart.
Pure heart.
Anusuya.
Patience.
Yeah. Anusuya Drishti.
Non-envy.
Surrender.
Surrender. Discipline.
Anusuya Drishti, where you don't see the fault.
Not non-envy, non-fault finding. Jidnyasa. Inquisitive. Yes, my dear boy.
No dirt, anger and all.
Oh my God. No kalmash. How do you put that now?
Peaceful.
And the will to
Kalmash.
follow. And the will to just follow the instruction.
Okay.
Dedication.
Surrender or submission. Obedience. Any other? What do you do after getting knowledge?
Love for Krishna.
We don't have love for Krishna. We want it. We are apply, put into practice. So practice what you learn. Don't waste their time. Simply hearing a lot. Okay. So let's go. You know why am I categorizing it like that? Can you guess? So this is for pranipata. This is for pariprashna. This is for sevaya, seva. And this is for tadvidhi. I'll explain these terms. Pranipata means pranipat, to fall flat at the feet of the Guru. Like Arjuna did in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. I'm a fool number one. I don't know what's going on here. And I basically need guidance. And I surrender to hear from you. So that's the beginning. That's called pranipata. So pranipat is, all this comes under pranipat, towards the Guru. Then comes pariprashna. Pariprashna means paripurna prashna, proper inquiries from the Guru about transcendental subject matters. No absurd inquiries. And also no blind following. Interesting? No absurd inquiries, no blind following. That's two things of that pariprashna. One time someone asked Srila Prabhupada, are there any mosquitoes in the spiritual world? And Prabhupada said, even if there are, they're all chanting Hare Krishna. So you better do that here. Another person asked, are there, if Dwarka had so many citizens staying in such a small place, what was the sewage system? It's in the middle of an ocean also. So, Prabhupada, absurd question. That's all he said. So, these questions have got nothing to do with our current status, x plus delta x, elevation coming in our life. That's why they are absurd. Even if we get to know what it is, so what? How is that going to benefit you now? At the moment. It's just like sometimes a girl may go and ask her mother, hey, pregnancy kya hota hai? So mommy says, well, 15 years down the line, more things will be revealed, right? That's an absurd inquiry right now. Of course, modern education won't agree with that proposal. They say you have to give knowledge as and when the pariprashna arises. So that's a different topic. But there are some questions to be answered later and some questions to be answered before. Hierarchical development. Anyway, so inquisitiveness is very important. I had a problem which I asked my Guru Maharaj when I in one of the meetings. I don't get question after the classes that I hear. When the speaker says any questions, I look at him and says, well, it was so nice, everything that you spoke. I really don't have any questions. Is that sign of being dumb, deaf, not so intellectual, and what it is? Is it that am I lacking pariprashna? I have no inquisitiveness only. So my spiritual master asked me a counter question. He said, okay, you don't get questions, that's okay. But there are other devotees who ask questions. At that time, are you eager to hear those answers? I said, yes, I am. He said, then don't worry about it. So, pariprashna has to also deal with eagerness to hear. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of when Bhishma Dev was about to pass away from this world. He was lying on the bed of arrows. 14th January, Sankranti was the day when he passed away. Just a few days prior to that, Pandavas, who were now the king of the whole world after the Kurukshetra war, were taken by Lord Krishna before Bhishma to give enlightenment to Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir was lamenting that because of me so many people died in the war, I am the culprit. Vyasadeva and even Krishna tried convincing him that it was a dharma yuddha, nothing wrong from your side. But he got no conviction. So Krishna took him to Bhishma. At that time, the news spread far and wide in the universe that there is going to be a class on the topics of dharma by Bhishma Pitamaha. So Narada, Vyasa, Devala, Shandilya, so many names come in the Bhagavatam of so many sages and their disciples and all the kings all over the planet, whatever. Everybody rushing towards Kurukshetra to sit and hear from Bhishma, the dying man. Words of wisdom. This was the culture of Bharatavarsha. People would drop anything that they are doing and go listen to transcendental knowledge wherever it was being spread. And the interesting thing about this discussion is Parshuram comes, to hear from Bhishma Dev. Now Parshuram is incarnation of God himself. And on top of that, Parshuram and Bhishma had a managerial problem with each other. In the past, that Ambika, Ambalika story, and Parshuram had told Bhishma, you have to get married to this girl because you touched her. And he said, no, I'm a brahmachari. I got her touched to get her married to somebody else. That was the purpose for touching her. And he said, no, you have done a wrong, And then there was a war. And Bhishma was so powerful that Parshuram couldn't defeat him. Now, if Parshuram had ego, he would remember the managerial problem, right? And he would say, मैं क्यों जाऊँ उसे सुनने के लिए? That is not the point. These are such personalities, they value every soul that has got wisdom, transcendental knowledge with him. Put aside all the ego, this, that, whatever, and go and listen to him if he has got wisdom about Krishna to offer. So this is the kind of eagerness. In fact, in India, in those days, Ramayana Katha, Mahabharat Katha, Bhagavad Katha were so famous. There was no time for TV and the other stuff that has. In fact, I remember when TV came, nobody was purchasing it. People were happy doing these kathas. So they started Ramayana Mahabharata on TV. That was the time whole of India purchased the Putana, in their homes. She comes very attractive but feeds poison. Kills little whatever remaining propensity for God consciousness one has in the heart. Anyways, this antenna, so I got reminded of TV. So we have to do pariprashna, proper inquiries about spiritual life. So no absurd questions and no blind following. If something you don't understand, something is beyond your logic, you should ask. It's just the way we ask it, not in a rebellious mood, but katham etad vijaniyam. How am I to understand Krishna? Is that this is how it is in that mood. So tadvidhi means dedicated to truth, to absolute truth. Earlier I was studying applied thermodynamics, so now my subject has changed. So, dedicated to absolute truth, which means Satya, Anveshi, Satyavadi, Satyadarshi, Satya Shodhi, and also Satyavrati. So we are seeking truth, we are talking truth, we are living truth, and we are spreading truth. That is called dedicated to truth, absolute truth. Tad vidhi. Tad means that absolute truth. If you vidhi means to know. If you want to know that absolute truth, pranipata pariprashna seva. These are the things. So avowed truthfulness is the quality that is important for a shishya. To be honest with one's motives and also with one's setbacks. To reveal them to Guru and to seek guidance. How can I make further spiritual advancement? So, this is avowed truthfulness. Yeah, I can use another terrible word, but brutally honest with one's motives and actions. Honest so much that it hurts, but it's good for the ego to get purified. The stories of Satyakam Jabal. This boy was born from a prostitute and he wanted to go and learn in the Gurukul. So he went and approached Gautama Rishi and he said, I want to study Vedas. Gautama Rishi asked him only one question: who is your father? The boy said, I'll go and ask my mother. So he went and asked her. And she very frankly told him, I don't know. So it was a very embarrassing truth. He came back and he told Gautama Rishi, my mother unfortunately doesn't know who my father is. I'm born in such and such condition. Gautama Rishi said, you are a Brahmana because you always speak the truth. And I will impart you Vedic knowledge. This is the culture of India. So, because he had avowed truthfulness. Pranipata, utter submission before the Guru. One time, there was one disciple of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, born American, later on went on to become a great Diksha Guru in ISKCON, who passed away in Mayapur Dham later on. So in those days, ISKCON was consisting of the traveling Sankirtan party brahmacharis in America who would go college to college in vehicles, distribute books, recruit members, make them into Hare Krishnas. And some of them would get married and some of them would remain brahmacharis and sannyasis. In 1 year, 1.5 years, they generated 165 brahmacharis and sannyasis by their preaching in America. But what was happening was, there was the controversy between the grihasthas who were running the temple and this Sankirtan party traveling brahmacharis, that they would take the temple's manpower because they were very attractive. Their prospectus of service, of book distribution was very attractive. So all the manpower would go with them and the temples would become barren. No productivity. So those devotees complained to Srila Prabhupada that, this is what is happening. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj knew that my complaint has gone to Prabhupada. So he was called for a meeting by Prabhupada in Mayapur. And when he went and offered obeisances in the room to Prabhupada, as soon as he got up, he said, Prabhupada, they are all saying that this is happening and that is happening and also so many problems, and they think that I have created all of them. I sometimes feel like I should go to China. Which meant like I should go to moon. In that, like I'm so fed up in preaching here in America that I feel I should go to China. And then there was a long silence. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj understood. Prabhupada, I am not going to go to China for preaching. He said. Prabhupada said, no, you just now said it. That to before your guru, that you would like to go and preach in China. So it's my instruction to you that you should start ISKCON branch in China. Now you know what this means? In those days, back in 70s, the Iron Curtain, the communist regime, the word religion is not allowed. Forget anything else you do. And in that time, Prabhupada sent him to preach. And he was so reluctant. Prabhupada, they eat anything there. There is no vegetarianism. Prabhupada said, eat meat but preach. Then they said, but Prabhupada, how will I practice the four regulative principles? How will I do this? You chant Hare Krishna, Krishna will give you all the strength. Prabhupada was not ready to budge from his stand. And finally he agreed. Can you believe? One man, all alone in China. No support, no nothing, no money, nothing. Just you have kartal, go and do whatever Sankirtan you do and recruit members, do whatever you like. And within 10-15 years of his preaching, ISKCON had many Chinese devotees. Eventually even coming to India and taking the spiritual culture very seriously. And Prabhupada had said it, Chinese will be the last one to enter, but they will be the best ones to practice this Krishna consciousness. And he made it happen. This is called as Pranipat. And then comes Seva. So when we have avowed truthfulness, we are ready to pay the price. We do the right type of inquiries and we get instructions. Now we have to put them into practice. So Sevaya. So we hear knowledge, which is theoretical, that is called Jnana. And then we have to practice what we have learned. That turns it into realization, which is called Vijnana. So there is Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojana. So we have theoretical knowledge, we put it into practice, and then we get the relish. Just like we know, we have a cookbook and we read it. Nothing more happens after that. We have to get into kitchen and cook and offer the bhoga to Krishna. Then when we sit down and taste and savor, the nice recipe, that's called realization. That's a relish that you have of that knowledge. So, Seva turns our theoretical knowledge into realized knowledge. So we should, as much as we run for getting knowledge, we should also run for doing service. You remember last class I was telling the 2 job descriptions of brahmacharis? Haunted by Vedic sound, hunting for service. Haunted by Vedic sound and hunting for service. So we should run towards service, not away from service. So the more we render seva, the more we realize spiritual truths in our heart. So service with service attitude is the last part of the story. सेवा भावना के साथ सेवा. So in the beginning, we will be tested for consistency. And later, we will be tested for selflessness in our service. Just like chanting every day. Consistency. That's the first test. And you do it and do it and do it nicely. Over a period of time, that becomes okay, natural. Then comes the next part, selflessness. When Srila Prabhupada was in India, his guru gave him instruction in 1922, give Krishna consciousness in English language all over the world. From 1922 to 1965, 44 years, Prabhupada was preaching in India. No success. Whatever he started collapsed. 44 years of failure in all the efforts. Who will go on continuing that service? I said, bhul jao. I have other things to do in life. 44 years continuous struggle and no success. So Prabhupada said, I later on understood Krishna didn't want me to succeed in India. He wanted me to go out and do it. So that's the glory of Indians. Everything has to be foreign returned. Even their own culture. So anyways, and then Prabhupada was so badly tested for his consistency, and later on Krishna gave in just 12 years such unprecedented success to him, and then he was tested for his selflessness. There are disciples of Prabhupada who were calling him God. And Prabhupada, if you wanted, you could have agreed upon. What can I do? I'm not, but they are saying it, so, No. He was so fixed. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's not like the names of the mission that the founder gives by his own name. It's not like that. So Prabhupada is so clear about what he's trying to offer. So we will all be tested if you have come to Krishna Consciousness. First for consistency. Then for, are you ready?
Yes.
Thank you. That's my fuel. That inspires me to go further. So this is how the whole verse looks like. I'm just reading the purport because it is very important. Every line of this purport is very important. And I may not give a long explanation, but I would really request you to go home and munch on this, especially while going to the bed today. Translation. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls, tattva-darshinaha, can impart knowledge unto you, upadekshanti te jnanam, because they have seen the truth. Tattva-darshinaha, they have seen the truth. Purport. Listen carefully. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. So Guru in Guru Parampara. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, Adi Guru, and a person in disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. So you can think of many spiritual organizations. The Guru says, I am the one. Before me nobody imparted this. The Bhagavatam says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. So you can replace that independent study of books to independent study of websites in modern times. We cannot progress like that. Knowledge, just like mango, is handed over from the person on the top of the tree gradually to the person next, and then it comes in our hand. It's a nice one, and somebody throws it, or whatever. You try and galol leke usko marte ya patthar se nikalte. It doesn't remain the way it is. So transcendental knowledge is also carefully handed down in parampara. By other means you cannot get it very nicely. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, without false prestige. Next line is, underline it, asterisk it, highlight it, whatever. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Pariprashna and pranipata. Unless there is submission and service, seva, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from the spiritual master in submission and service and in inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind to the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So we end there for the day. Any comments or questions? What do we mean by blind following? Whatever the Guru says has to match with Shastra, scripture, and also sadhu, previous authorities in spirituality. Sometimes there are gurus who say you can smoke, drink, no problem. Just give some fees, I will give you a secret mantra and you will become God by meditation. There are other gurus who say that, the purpose of human life is to do Manav Seva. Daridra Narayan Seva. What is this Krishna and this and that you are doing? This is God in front of you, serve him. Now this may appear very lucrative, but has no philosophical substance whatsoever. This is nowhere stated, you will read in Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, blind following means without even considering whether this matches with the previous authorities, whether this matches with the scripture properly. One just goes for whatever the Guru says. So, blind follow the blind and all fall into the ditch. So, unfortunately in India there are so many such cases where people just blindly follow any Guru. And then there are some discrepancies or frauds and then lose all their trust in spirituality and God itself. So we should not allow that calamity to happen to us. We should be very scrutinizing. I am telling you clearly, I have come and surrendered here in ISKCON, doesn't mean I am blind follower. My eyes are open to see everything that is happening. And make sure that we don't surrender our intelligence. We surrender with intelligence. You get what I am saying? So, we have bona fide spiritual authorities and they are in good standing and they are really giving their best. We are very submissive, reciprocal, and service oriented. But if there is discrepancies, we should be the one to point that out as well.
When is the relationship between disciple and spiritual master established? Is it only at the time of initiation or when you aspire to them?
Yeah. When is the relationship between a guru and a disciple established? It is generally begun from the day the hearing begins. From the guru. So, ours is a Shruti Parampara. Ours is not the seminal Parampara. Shukra Janma nahi hamara. Shrauta Janma hai. Spiritual life mein. So, the day we start hearing submissively and appreciate the teachings, that's the beginning. And then there is a formalization of that relationship in the form of Diksha ceremony. So just like a boy and a girl, they fall in love. That's nice, but they should get married also. So that's the later part of the story. So in the same manner. So the relationship begins from the day you wholeheartedly think, this is my Guru. Whatever he speaks, I will follow. So that's where the relationship is already established. But it becomes formalized at the time of initiation, and that is also important to be done. Okay, so we end there. Thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.